Three college friends, Alex, Mia, and Ryan, planned a camping trip to a remote national park. They were thrilled to explore the uncharted trails, but ignored the park ranger's warnings about venturing too far off the designated paths. The first night was uneventful, filled with laughter and stargazing. But on the second day, they discovered an abandoned campsite deep in the woods. The tents were intact, and belongings were scattered as if the occupants had left in a hurry. There was no sign of life, only an eerie silence. Against Mia's better judgment, they decided to spend the night there. As darkness fell, strange things began to happen. Ryan's flashlight flickered uncontrollably. Alex swore he saw a figure watching them from the tree line, but when he pointed it out, it vanished. Mia felt an unseen presence brushing past her, sending chills down her spine. Suddenly, their campfire extinguished itself, plunging them into darkness. Then came the laughter. It was distant at first, but grew louder, surrounding them. The friends huddled together, terrified. Alex shouted into the darkness, demanding to know who was there. The laughter stopped abruptly, replaced by a deafening silence. When morning came, Alex and Ryan were gone. Mia woke up alone, her friends' belongings left behind as if they had never been there. Authorities conducted a search, but Alex and Ryan were never found. Mia, traumatized, refuses to camp ever again. A group of friends, Emma, Jason, and Lily, decided to explore a remote cave system during their camping trip. The locals called it the Cave of Echoes and warned against venturing too deep. The friends, seeking adventure, ignored the advice. Inside the cave, their voices echoed unnaturally, repeating words they hadn't said. The deeper they went, the colder it became. Jason's flashlight beam caught strange markings on the walls, resembling ancient runes. Emma felt an overwhelming sense of dread, but didn't want to seem like a coward. As they ventured further, they heard footsteps that weren't theirs. Lily screamed when she felt a hand grab her shoulder, but no one was there. Jason, trying to lighten the mood, joked about ghosts, but his laughter was mimicked by an unseen entity. It wasn't an echo. It was identical but slightly off, as if something was imitating him. Suddenly, the cave seemed to shift. Passages that had been there moments before disappeared, leaving them disoriented. The air grew thick, and an oppressive silence fell over them. Then from the darkness, a low growl echoed, sending them into a panic. They ran, desperate to find the exit. Emma tripped and fell, and when Jason turned to help her, she was gone. Her screams echoed through the cave before abruptly stopping. Jason and Lily barely made it out alive, but Emma was never seen again. The cave has since been sealed, and no one dares to enter. David and his dog Max were avid campers. One summer, they decided to camp in a remote forest known for its breathtaking views and rumored hauntings. The first night was peaceful, but Max seemed restless, growling at the darkness. On the second night, David noticed something strange. A pair of glowing eyes watched him from the treetops. At first, he thought it was an animal, but the eyes didn't blink or move. They simply stared. Max barked furiously, but the eyes remained. The following morning, David found strange claw marks on the trees surrounding his campsite. Max refused to eat and stayed close to David's side. That night, the eyes returned, closer this time. Then he heard it, a guttural voice whispering his name. Terrified, David decided to leave at first light. But as he packed his gear, the whispers grew louder, coming from every direction. The eyes multiplied, surrounding him. Max barked frantically, but suddenly yelped and fell silent. David turned to find Max gone, his leash torn. David ran, abandoning everything. He reached his car and drove away, vowing never to return. Weeks later, he found Max sitting on his porch, alive but different. The dog's once friendly eyes now glowed eerily in the dark. A family of four, Sarah, her husband Tom, and their two kids went camping by a picturesque lake. The first night, They saw a campfire burning on the opposite shore. They waved, but no one waved back. It seemed odd, but they didn't think much of it. The next night, the campfire appeared again, closer this time. The kids were curious and wanted to investigate, but Sarah insisted they stay put. As the night wore on, they began hearing faint singing, a haunting melody that sent shivers down their spines. Tom decided to check it out. He rowed across the lake, promising to be back soon. Hours passed, but he didn't return. Sarah, now panicking, called for him, but the only response was the eerie singing, now louder and clearer. Desperate, she woke the kids and decided to leave. As they packed, the singing stopped, replaced by Tom's voice calling her name. Relieved, she turned, but it wasn't him. A figure emerged from the darkness, resembling Tom, but with lifeless eyes and a twisted smile. Sarah and the kids fled, leaving everything behind. The next morning, authorities found their campsite abandoned. Tom's body was discovered in the lake days later, and the family was never seen again. Locals now warn campers to avoid the lake at night, where the phantom campfire still appears. Evan, a seasoned solo camper, decided to hike a trail known for its breathtaking views, but also its reputation for disorienting hikers. The locals spoke of a lost camper legend, a ghostly figure that lured people off the trail, never to be seen again. Evan dismissed it as mere folklore. The hike was uneventful until twilight. As Evan set up his tent, he noticed a faint figure in the distance, waving at him. Thinking it was another hiker in need, he grabbed his flashlight and approached. But as he got closer, the figure moved further into the woods. Evan followed, calling out, but the person didn't respond. Deeper into the forest, Evan realized he was completely lost. His phone had no signal, and his GPS device malfunctioned. Panic set in as the night grew darker. Then he heard it, faint footsteps circling him, accompanied by soft, mocking laughter. The laughter grew louder, echoing in the trees, but there was no one in sight. Desperate, Evan tried to retrace his steps, but only found more confusion. His flashlight flick erred, casting eerie shadows among the trees. The laughter stopped, replaced by whispers that seemed to come from within his own mind. Every direction felt the same, a never-ending maze of trees and darkness. Suddenly, Evan spotted his tent, or what he thought was his tent. As he approached, he realized it wasn't his at all. The tent was old, tattered, and covered in moss, as if it had been there for decades. Inside, he found a faded photograph of a camper smiling beside a fire, a face eerily similar to his own. Panic consumed him as he backed away, only to feel a cold hand grip his shoulder. He turned, but no one was there. Instead, the whispers turned into a single voice, deep and chilling. "Stay." Evan ran blindly through the forest, stumbling over roots and branches. When he finally burst into a clearing, dawn was breaking. Gasping for air, he looked back but saw nothing except the still trees. He made his way back to civilization, shaken but alive. To this day, Evan refuses to speak of that night. The trail has since been closed, marked as unsafe, though whispers of the lost camper persist among locals and hikers alike.